Item 2.02, motion to adjourn executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Welcome, everyone. It's Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. The time is 12:13 p.m. We're going to reconvene our regular meeting. We will now observe the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3.02, approval of agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve today's agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 4.01, approval modification of minutes from the October 1st, 2025 governing board meeting with study session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I'm missing, there's Jim. A motion passes.
Yes.
Item, oh, did somebody ask a question? No. Okay, item 5.01, approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Terry?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. I would like to thank the City of Tempe for their donation of $12,000 for the Arts in School Residency Program. Item 6.01, presentation of the fiscal year 2024-2025 annual financial report. I will turn it over to Chief Financial Officer Eric Thompson to provide his presentation. Mr. Thompson.
All right. For having me and accommodating to have the meeting today. I'm going to try to share my screen here. Hopefully it works. Okay, you guys seeing that?
Yes, we're able to see your presentation.
Okay. All right. So the reason we are here for this is because the annual financial report is due October 15th. So this is, I guess, the last day that we could do it. It's just really a summary and a presentation of the expenses for the school year. And there are multiple different reports that really go into it. There's the district-wide AFR, the DSEG AFR, and then the school-level AFR. We're going to be talking about mostly the district-wide AFR. The other ones pull information from it. But the district-wide is kind of the highlight of the show for this. Okay, so for the district-wide, in total, we had 170 million in total expenses. That includes bond expenditures. Most of the expenses, though, come out of M&O. So about $105 million after some adjustments were out of M&O of our total expenses. The vast majority of all those expenses are salary and benefits. So M&O, maintenance and operation, that's essentially our people. So our teachers, our principals, our crossing guards, our bus drivers, me, most people are paid out of M&O in the district. So about almost 90 million of that 105 million comes out of M&O, comes out of the salaries and benefits. So of the 105, special ed was about 21 million of that, and then transportation about 2.8 million as well. So one thing that we have been talking about for the last few years is kind of the carry forward, and that's essentially the money left over at the end of the year. It's the savings that we have, the buffer in our M&O fund. So you can see, starting around COVID time, we got a lot of federal funds. And we were able to divert a lot of expenses that would normally go into M&O into those federal funds, which caused the carry forward in M&O to grow a lot. So we were at really the peak of $11 million that we were carrying over. Those federal funds are gone now, and so we're starting to spend them down, which was the plan. Like we had talked about, for a number of years, that these federal funds are essentially we're gonna need to make cuts, but the federal funds are gonna make it so that it goes a little more gradual on there, and that's what's really starting to happen here. Now, enrollment has decreased a little quicker than maybe we had anticipated, so the gradualness is going to have to be a little quicker than we had planned on it, but it does give us a little cushion so it doesn't have to, we're not running out right away, but we are spending more than we're bringing in. This slide's a little busy. I should have cleaned this one up and taken some stuff out here, but the gist of it is the carryover decreased by about 2.45 million. We'll say 2.5 million. From that peak of 11 million, it's down to 8.7. It really should have decreased even more than that because we moved expenses into other allowable accounts like Civic Center or indirect cost, where we can move those expenses over there and then keep more money into M&O and roll that into a future year. So if you look at it, if you think of it as, okay, the carry forward decreased by 2.5 million. Without moving them, it really would have decreased by 5 million. Some of the other savings we had in there, we had some extra space in some of the grant funds. We were able to move some costs that were not going to get us into supplanting, move those costs out of M&O and put them into the grant. So that saved us some more money as well. But really not overspending, but spending more than we're bringing in by at least $5 million. So that's one thing we can do because we had that carryover that we built up from those federal funds. This kind of just summarizes a little bit. We're bringing in to a 1.2 million. Because of the carry forward we have, we were able to spend more like 1.7. That's if we didn't move the expenses, but we're spending more than we're bringing in. So we'll have to make some cuts moving forward. Now, on a more positive side, classroom side fund, very good shape. So we spent more than we've ever spent in classroom side fund, and we still grew the carry forward by $250,000. So if we're looking for positive, it's here. We were able to spend, $1 million more than we had the previous year. We increased teacher pay by 2% in M&O plus the additional $500 in classroom site fund. So that's why the increase in funding, increase in expenditures are there. Classroom site fund can vary a little bit more because it's based on a formula of sales tax and enrollment. So as sales tax goes up, we get more money. So when there's inflation, therefore there's more sales tax, we get more money. If the economy slows down, and people spend less money, then the classroom site funding can decrease on that. So it varies a little bit more than other areas. District additional assistance, that's the capital side of it. We spent a little more than $7 million for that, and we have a healthy ending carry forward in that as well, $7 million. And the DAA override gives us $7 million per year. Our enrollment also provides about $5 million in additional DAA funding that we can put into M&O or capital. This year, because we had a pretty healthy carry forward in the capital side, we moved all $5 million of that into M&O. So it kind of shows you the interconnectedness a little bit of it. We were able to move all that $5 million into M&O. If we didn't move all that, and I'm talking about how we, would have spent $5 million more than we had generated, well, we would have generated less. So we really would have spent, say we're $1 million less on that, we would have spent overspent by $6 million, for example, if we didn't spend all $5 million. If we didn't put all $5 million in there, say we only put $4 million into M&O, then we would have been overspent by even more. So DA is comfortable, which allows us some more flexibility to put all of those extra funds into M&O. The food service AFR, This is included in the regular AFR this year, but if you were really interested in it and you compared it to last year, you'll notice that the AFR was a whole separate report for food service last year. It's really just one tab, so I think it made sense. They just included it all on here, all on the main AFR. Some of the highlights for the food service, we're serving almost 2 million meals to our students, and those are no cost to the students, so we get reimbursed from the federal government for that. We have been able to increase the participation even though we have fewer kids, so I think that's a testament to the taste test that the food service department does, making sure that it's available for everybody. So even though we have fewer kids, they're actually serving more meals. And another part of the interconnectedness, just like some of the other federal grants, you can move indirect cost from this fund to indirect cost fund and then use the indirect cost fund to absorb some other expenses. We're able to move more than $500,000 out of the food service program into the indirect cost fund. And then as you saw on the previous slide, we were able to move some of the M&O expenses from M&O to indirect costs. So a lot of these expenses are interconnected. And so when food service does well, that does well in other areas as well, because we're able to move those monies into indirect cost. On the federal side, and I think we've been talking for years, this was going to decrease, and it has, but not as much as we expected it to, because we were able to get some EV bus grants. And so of that 20 million, half of that was for the buses. Again, we're really expanding our electric fleet here. We've got 15 buses so far. We've got another 15 on order that should be arriving probably around the end of the calendar year to get us about 30, which I think 30 will be, if not the largest school district fleet in Arizona, it'll be one of the largest ones. All of our title funds, about a little less than 5 million, and then IDEA, 2.3 million for that as well. There are some of the more detailed reports. They're more granular and more at a school level. That's the separate reports for the DSEG AFR and the school level AFR. So those are required reports we will upload to ADE as well, but all of that information comes from the main AFR, so I'm not going to get into details on that one. But those are separate reports that we have as well. All right, if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Seeing no questions, is that correct? Go ahead and unmute. It's just you guys are in little boxes. Oh, Mr. Thierry, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick clarifying question, Mr. Thompson. When you say that we have, sorry about the noise, there's yard work going up by my house. When you say that we have fewer students, but more lunches are being served, doesn't mean that there's waste or anything. That just means that there are more students who are eating. It could be a different makeup of students. Maybe students aren't bringing their lunch from home anymore. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, it's more students are taking either lunch or breakfast. We included that in there too. So that's one of the things. Breakfast participation is not nearly as high as lunch. So if we can increase that amount, you could even have the same number of students, and there's just a few of them, more of them take breakfast each day, and that's going to increase the participation as well.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Thompson, I get asked often, when schools are asking for more money in a legislative level or to the community, why aren't we just paying teachers more? Can you go back to that slide that talked about sales tax and how that has to do with it? And then can you remind us on the 2% inflation, whatever's less? Can you be more clear on how teachers are paid and what the district has done to move every bit of money we can into that?
Yes. So for the 2%, the funding formula in Arizona, every year it is at a minimum, it's 2% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. And so inflation has been more than 2%. So the legislature has, at a minimum, has to increase the funding formula by that 2%. And they have chosen the minimum amount. So we we get a 2% increase in the funding formula there. But it's also based on enrollment. So as our enrollment goes down, our funding goes down. So if it's going up by 2%, but our enrollment goes down 1%, we might be netting a 1% increase there. We have been increasing teacher pay as much as we can. As I said, this past year, we did increase pay by the 2% plus $500. So it was really, depending on where those teachers started, it could be around 2.5% or 3% of an increase for those teachers. Moving those expenses as much as we can into M&O to create more money to pay the teachers is something we're doing as well. The funding is not keeping up with the inflation, though. I think it's kind of part of the crux of your question there, and that we're not getting enough funding to really put a lot in there. And when you look at, if I go back to the slide here about salaries and benefits, it's not like we're spending a lot of money on other things. Our M&O expenses are 105 million. Our salaries and benefits are about 90 million. So we're spending 15 million on electricity, water, supplies, those other things. And the vast majority of them are already going into salaries and benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Are there any other questions?
I had a question, Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. You mentioned that we'll have about 30 buses that are electric.
Yes.
How many buses does the district have? Like, what percentage of the total bus fleet would be electric?
I don't have that number off the top of my head. I can get it for you.
Okay.
I have a number I'm thinking of, but I might say and it'll be way wrong, unless somebody else on the meeting has that number. But
it'll roughly be half.
okay.
All right. Thank you, Madam President.
I could be wrong though, but I think roughly half.
That's about the number I was thinking of as well. I thought we had about 60 or 70 total.
To piggyback on that question of Mr. Miller's, the infrastructure in order to run those, has that been included in last year and this year's budget? It won't need to be in the next budget, or will we have to use bond money for that?
It's part of the grants that we're getting, and we're using part bond money. So the bonds are not covering all of the costs of the electric buses and the chargers, but it's covering a lot of it. And so those we'll have to use some bond money for the overall project to get the buses and the chargers, but the grant covers parts of both of those, both the buses and the chargers.
And Mr. Thompson, part of the bond was to buy buses. So instead of buying diesel buses, we bought electric buses, which was subsidized with the grants that were almost, I would say, less than what it would cost us to buy diesel buses. If I'm am I saying that correctly, Mr. Thompson?
You are correct.
And the diesel buses that we won't need are sold and put back into our budget with what we make off of those, correct?
Correct.
And the amount of money that we save, not just in not polluting the air and our children's air, but in actual dollar amount for gasoline and costs, we can also put back into our budget. Is that correct?
Correct. And also, it actually really helps us in the sense that we're spending bond dollars to buy the buses and install the chargers. The electricity savings that we're going to get is going to come out of the M&O fund, the maintenance operation. So we're using bond dollars which we can just use for large dollar construction and equipment like the buses or building a new building. We can't use that for teacher salaries. What we can use for teacher salaries is the M&O fund, which is also where we pay for electricity. So when we save and the diesel costs come out of M&O as well. So if we're saving money by not spending as much on diesel out of M&O, that gives us more money in M&O for salaries.
So would it be correct for us to say that the places that we are trying to, one, upgrade and two, save with those upgrades is strategic in us trying to find a way to get more dollars into the classroom and to our staff?
Absolutely. Between those, the electric buses or the solar projects that we're doing, it's the same concepts that we're gonna save money on electricity on it in M&O. And because we're saving in M&O, we're gonna free up more money for our teachers and other salaries in M&O.
Thank you. All right, seeing no, Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President.
Sure.
I had a question regarding the district additional assistance in the override.
Yeah.
Your slide says it generates around 7 million a year. How many years can we do that?
That's 7 million for 7 years. So the voters approved that, I believe, last year, and this is the first year of that. So we'll have 6 more years of it, and it had been 5 million a year for about 20 years. And we went out with the increase because you can really do 10% of the revenue control limit, and that had increased a lot over those years, but it had stayed at 5 million. So we'll have to go out at least, at the latest in year 6. We could go out earlier to renew that, but it's something the voters approve regularly, and then we go out for a renewal.
And Madam President, Mr. Miller, is if we don't go out for the renewal, does the amount decrease while it's still there, or goes down or whatever?
Not for that one. For your override, that will decrease. So when we have the maintenance and operation override, that goes for a set time frame as well, but it decreases by a third, if I'm saying that correct, as you get to the end. And then when it phases out, by the time that override phases out, you would get to 0. So you have to start that. So that's the one that decreased. But the DEA override, I think, stays the same for the duration of 7 years.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you, Madam President.
Absolutely. So seeing no further questions, thank you, Mr. Thompson. And thank you for getting that reported today on time. And for the public to understand, this is another reason why we're doing this meeting online, so that he does have time to report that today. 7.01, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of the fiscal year 2024-2025 School District Annual Financial Report. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the 24-25 School District Annual Financial Report.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 7.02, discussion, consideration, and possible action to decide grievance of employee 8624. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to uphold the previous ruling.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Nays?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to decide grievance of employee. Oh, we already did that. Sorry. 7.03, second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BED meeting procedures. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the proposed changes to governing board policy BED meeting procedures.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor are open for discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. 7.04, second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BEDB agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve governing board policy BEDB agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. 7.05, second review and adoption of the proposed deletion of governing board policy BEDD, rules of order. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the proposed deletion of governing board policy BEDD rules of order.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 7.06, second review and adoption of the proposed deletion of governing board policy BEDF, voting method. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the deletion of governing board policy BEDF voting method.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. 7.07, second review and adoption of the proposed deletion of governing board policy BEDG minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the deletion of governing board policy BEDG minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. 8.01, board information. Mrs. Windsor.
None for me today, thank you.
Mr. Miller.
I also have no board information. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President. Yesterday, I was able to go to Getz School, Aguilar School, and Broadmoor School. And of course, I went by other campuses. There's lots of trees down and lots of soggy playgrounds, but our maintenance people are making sure the kids are safe and keeping the trees or the kids away from the trees. And learning was going on at Aguilar, and I understand it starts today back at Getz and at Broadmoor. But there is quite a bit of damage, and so I don't know. It's a lot of effort to clean that mess up, and but we got to keep the kids safe, and we got to make sure there's no places where people could hide on our property behind down vegetation. But I wanted to thank Dr. Driscoll and the entire district team for weathering the storm. So thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Mr. Thierry.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to piggyback on Mr. Lemon's comments and thanking our maintenance staff. We have, landscapers, we have carpenters, we have lots of people who are responsible for keeping our facilities looking nice, but also, as Mr. Lemon said, keeping our students safe. So you all got that done much faster than I anticipated. Multiple power outages, multiple trees down. I saw some roofing gone. I mean, there was just a lot for a very small staff to take care of. So the fact that it was so fast is very impressive, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you. I would also like to thank the staff for storm cleanup. And I'd also like to thank our teachers, our staff, and our parents for being so considerate and so understanding. I understand that we displaced several kids yesterday in many different ways, with having either to not go to school or to navigate around getting to school and being safe at school and having, recesses inside because of the fields and all of that. There's a lot of consequences that happen because of these storms, and we've all in the state of Arizona been so lucky not to have to deal with them as much as others, but it happened. So kudos to the staff, and thank you, Dr. Driscoll, for working so well with the city of Tempe. That is why having a good relationship with the leaders in our city is so valuable, important. I know that they were out there helping us get our streets clear to get our students to school too. So I would like to just thank everyone, and especially the parents, because we all have jobs, and I know that their lives were changed up on Tuesday after already being changed up on Monday from being closed for Columbus Day. but I'm grateful that we were closed on Columbus Day because from what I understand, Dr. Driscoll, we had no injuries during this storm. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct.
Excellent. Thank you. It's very, very important that the 12 people that work for our district that are either maybe already on this call or will watch this, that you please open up your wellness newsletter. I know that I've had several staff members say, oh, I just get so much that I delete on the newsletter. Please open up your October wellness newsletter. It's very important for you to understand the changes that we're making to the deductible. This deductible change can affect how you use your benefits. There's going to be a meeting on October 28th, a meeting on November 5th, and a meeting on November 7th. We are aligning the deductible with the calendar year, which we had been, the deductible was in July, and it just caused mass confusion. And it's time for us to stop that and make it clear for all of our employees that are on the benefit structure. But what that means is that we're going to have some people who like to use up their benefits by the end of July or the end of December or this or that. You're going to have to make decisions in the next few weeks on how you plan to use your benefits, because there is going to be a change. And I don't want anyone saying that they didn't know that there was a change. So please, if you are listening to this and you know that you work with 10 other people that did not listen to this, I ask that everyone say, open up from Sandra your October wellness newsletter and read it and attend one of those meetings. It's critical. And with that said, I would like to thank Sister Cities for inviting the Tempe Elementary School District to represent at Oktoberfest. The rain stopped for us for those moments. We had a very good time, and the program is extraordinary for our students to meet students from around the world and vice versa, because it's not just, the world is not just the small place in Tempe. We are raising children to be part of the entire world. So I appreciate that invite, and I really enjoyed attending. 9.01 announcements and upcoming events. The 42nd annual Don Carlos Humanitarian Awards ceremony and dinner will take place on Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. at the Doubletree by Hilton Tempe, 2100 South Priest Drive in Tempe, Arizona. There will be a Connolly Middle School and Curry Elementary School groundbreaking event on Wednesday, October 29th at 9 a.m. at the Connolly Middle School, 2002 East Concordia Drive in Tempe, Arizona, 85282. There will be an agenda committee meeting on Wednesday, October 29th at 11 a.m. The annual Tempe Teradata event is Sunday, November 2nd, 2025 from noon to 8 p.m. at the Tempe Community Complex, 3500 South Rue Road, Tempe, Arizona. The Southeast Valley School Board Consortium meeting is Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. at Apache Junction High School, 2525 South Ironwood Drive, Apache Junction, Arizona, 85120. The next regularly scheduled governing board meeting is live Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 at 7 p.m. 10.01, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? Today's meeting.
Motion to adjourn today's meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, aye. Motion passes. Have a good afternoon, everyone. The time is 12:47. That concludes this board meeting. Thank you.